Perfect. So welcome again. I'll say it so it's on the record. Welcome again to the Volume 14 virtual launch. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get started. First up this evening is Sreekanth Kopuri. Sreekanth is an Indian poet, current poetry editor for the Autoethnographer Journal, Florida, alumni writer in residence, and professor of English from Machilipatnam, India. He did his PhD on the autoethnographic poetry of Jayanta Mahapatra. He presented his research papers and recited his poetry at Oxford, Johns Hopkins, Heinrich Heine, and many other universities. His poems have appeared in Arkansas Review, Christian Century, and Honest Ulsterman, 2/3 North, and Vayavya, to mention a few. His book, Poems of the Void, won the Golden Book Award of the Year for 2022. He lives in his hometown, Machilipatnam, with his mother. So please give a warm welcome to Sreekanth.
Hello friends, I am Sreekanth Kopuri, the current poetry editor for the Autoethnographer Journal, Florida. Nice to meet you all. I thank Elena for selecting my poem and giving me this valuable opportunity. The title of my poem is Sea Moments. The poem is based on a place called Manginpudi Beach in Machilipatnam, which is my hometown. I try to portray the total ecological landscape with all its local metaphor, the flora, fauna, all the folk, and all the other things. Sea moments. These are common till a metaphor disturbs us with an intuition, like these silver blinks that surface it to read the fishy school beneath in its defining locomotion. Tired of soaring to fathom this in its fish eye, my thought gull lands on the boat stern and watches my grandmother crouch in its shadows, holding a seal fish like a question. She cuts it against the booty blade for the day's answers, which fall in coiled lumps of burning rawness that do not end in smoke but still drip with bleeding raw, only to be dragged off for knowledge by some ravenous mischief that always wanders off with a dogged face. I call that village photographer who always holds his smile for those who, like me, try to buy these paper moments. He clicks out in a few cards that slip out like my 100 rupee note from his hand to buy his crisp day, only to be crunched at his drunken night. Before I reason these, a glossal momentum billows and breaks into chorus. Twilight's first boatmen float off with the hua-hoos of the day's last gulls to catch another day. Thank you.
That poem stuck with me long after I read it, and it also begins our issue. It really sets the tone. There's a lot about metaphor in there. So I hope you have a copy of the issue. If you don't, don't forget to pick up one. And yes, thank you so much.
So I'm excited to introduce our next reader, Mark Keane. He's next up on our virtual stage. Mark Keane has taught for many years in universities in North America and the United Kingdom. Recent short story fiction has appeared in Black Moon Magazine, Linux Journal, might be saying it wrong, Down in the Dirt, Grand Saloon, Sam Joko, Upstreet, Liquid Imagination, Into the Void, Night Picnic, Fireworks, Dog and Vile Short Fiction, The Dark Lane, and What Monsters Do for Love anthologies, and Bards and Sages Best Indie Speculative Fiction. He lives in Edinburgh, Scotland. Please welcome Mark to our stage.
Thank you for that introduction, and Greetings from Scotland, where it's just after midnight. But I'm more awake in the early hours of the morning, so this is a plus for me. I'm really glad to be part of volume 14 of Untethered. My story, and I'll read the opening of the story. It's entitled Deeb's Day. Here goes. Deebs finishes the carton of pulpy juice and licks the stray bits from his lips. He drops the empty carton in the bin, then washes his face at the sink. Before leaving the house, he checks his pockets to make sure he has his keys and 2 plums. The blackthorn trees murmur in the garden across the way. Scraps of cloud hang in the deep blue sky. The approach of a dirty grey mass in the distance promises rain. Deebs feels good in himself. He can't explain this onrush of positivity. Sometimes it happens that way. Deebs lives in a middling-sized town on the Atlantic coast. Not a particularly nice or friendly town. There's nothing remarkable about it. Very much an unprepossessing place. Not a town Deebs would choose to live in if Deebs had a choice, which of course he should have. He heads for the seafront, stopping to examine the display in a pharmacy window. A hill of blue and yellow tablets sits on a bed of red crenulated paper. The banner overhead reads, "Let us take you to the summit." At the Bird's kiosk, he asks for the latest figures. The official inside consults a computer screen, scrolling down a table of data. As of 10 minutes past 2, he tells Deebs, there have been 16 births in the past 24 hours, a cumulative figure of 93 in the last week and 4,210 in the last year. A good number, Deebs remarks. You don't do deaths, do you? No, only births. You'll have to inquire at the other kiosk. Babies are important in this unremarkable town. Pushing them out like billy-o, Deebs often thinks. The continuation of the line, keeping the show on the road, isn't that what it's all about? He waits at the junction for the traffic light to turn red and then remains waiting, counting the seconds in his head. 8, 9, 10. He rushes across the road as the light goes green and the car engines growl at him. It's a game he plays when he's feeling good in himself. As he passes the convent, 4 nuns exit the adjoining abattoir. Their hands are red, the white of their habits blood-stained. One nun rushes towards him. What are you looking at, she demands. Watch it or you will be next. She starts making chewing motions and sounds. Aum, aum, aum. Deebs walks away, picking up the pace, a walk-run that becomes a run. He slows down once he reaches the safety of the rope shop on the next street. Phew, that was a close call. He feels his pockets, worried he dropped the plums in his rush to escape the bloody nun. No, they're still there, 1 in each pocket. A man waves at him, ruddy jowls and a tweed suit. Hey you, the jowls address Deebs. Turn around and face me, I can't see your badge. Deebs turns and puffs out his chest. Your badge, the jowls tell him, must be clearly visible at all times. Deebs undoes the clasp and positions the badge higher on his lapel. What's your color? Blue, answers Deebs. A bluey. I thought as much. Off with you. Deebs continues walking, not feeling as good in himself as before. A visit to Happy Faces should cheer him up. He goes past the vinegar shop and the aphid shop. A security guard in a brown uniform stops him at the entrance to Happy Faces. Deebs hands over some coins. Okay, that'll get you 5 minutes. The guard steps aside. Remember, no touching. Deebs opts for the room on the left, where a priest kneels at a prie-dieu. How are you doing, son? The priest offers a sanctimonious smile. This is not what Deebs needs and will not make him feel good in himself. He hurries on to the next offering, a Marilyn Monroe lookalike, caked in makeup, blonde wig askew. Boop, boop, be doop, she simpers over ill-fitting dentures. No time to waste. Deebs doesn't linger at the smiley displays he has seen many times before. The happy schoolgirl, or the nurse, or the astronaut. He comes to a granny on a rocking chair, knitting and humming to herself. A new display, an excellent granny, grey hair in a bun, round glasses, long shimmering blue dress and bleached white apron. Hello there, dearie, she says. Now this is a proper happy face, one that makes Deebs feel good in himself. Such a kind granny and so reassuring. As Deebs reaches to touch the granny's bun, he's knocked to the ground. Looking up, he sees the guard standing over him. The guard starts kicking Deebs. What did I tell you? Another kick from the guard, and one more for good measure. No touching. Deebs is thrown out the door of happy faces and lands on the pavement. He drags himself to his feet, his knees stinging, his ribs on fire. Angry faces glare at him. Well, I'll leave it there. That's about the first third. Thank you for listening, and it's much appreciated, and I particularly wish to thank everyone at Untethered for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. We are so happy to have you. And thank you for showing up so late. That's wonderful. I have to say, when I read your story, I was in love with it from the beginning, but it was kind of like 1984 meets Brave New World with a kind of voiced, a sardonic kind of humor to it. I encourage everyone to read to the end to find out the rest of Deebs's day. He goes through it. He has quite the day. So thank you, Mark. All right. Next up, we have Lisa Baird. Lisa Baird is a queer poet, parent, and community acupuncturist living on the territories of the Adirondack Chinantan neutral peoples, which is also the treaty land of the Mississaugas of the New Credit and part of Dish with One Spoon territory. Her poetry has appeared in various journals, including Arc Poetry, Rattle, and Plenitude, and was long listed for the 2020 CBC Poetry Prize. Her first book, Winter's Cold Girls, was shortlisted for the 2020 Relit Award for Poetry. You can find her online at lisabaird.ca. Let's put our hands together and give a warm welcome to Lisa.
I'm Lisa Baird, and this poem is called When Whales Went Back to the Water. Say life began here in a tidal pool, or hot spring, or where the Earth's core steams through fissures in the ocean floor. I like that all of these theories are wet. I like to think of the first animal born of chaos and collision, molecules whipping into cellular form. It is calming to think about geological timescales. Whales only took 10 million years to leave the land and commit to salt water. Who wouldn't want to sing to someone 10,000 miles away? I like that they swam, then walked, then returned to the water as mammals, with live births and blowholes, diving deeper than any other air breather to linger for hours. I had a story about how quiet it must be down there, but it's not anymore. I keep learning things about other people that I didn't want to know. I've been practicing, but can only hold my breath for 3 minutes. It is calming to think about large numbers, how many trillions of cells there are in me, most of them not even human. Dividing, dying, killing, feeding, excreting. I feel okay today, so I guess enough of them are cooperating with each other. The wallpaper on my phone says, "Tolerate uncertainty" over a picture of a whale. I like that I can't see the wrist or finger bones within its fins. I want to use the word kin like I've always known what it means. This body recalling times before topsoil, bread, or algebra, before doorways, bull kelp, forgetting, or photosynthesis. To reach back to being eager and alive as our common ancestor emerging in the flash and muck, alone, but knowing there would be more.
Thank you very much, Lisa. That's such a beautiful poem. And I'm really glad that we got to hear another piece of your work. Again, if you don't have the issue, the poem that does appear in issue 14 by Lisa is, just let me, I don't want to get it wrong. Your mouth, hold on, sorry. That's right. The mouth is your hardest and softest place. So I highly recommend you read that one as well. But thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that. Our next reader is, what page, is Anna Reisens. Anna Reisens is a word wrangler with 2 X chromosomes and a soft spot for leftovers. You can find her work in the Mud Season Review, the Bombay Literary Magazine, and Channel, among other places. She promises she'll always return your Tupperware. Please help me welcome Anna to the virtual stage.
Anna Reisens here, and this is Rumor Has It Liz. Rumor has it Liz had sex with Jake on the bathroom floor of his dad's condo. Alyssa says it was romantic, like Pemberley or patchouli scented candles. But we all know sex is a slippery thing. Jake is the fingers of the football team, but he's no Peyton Manning. There was definitely fumbling, mildew, hard water stains against gray tiles. Did Liz enjoy it? Did she orgasm? Can a quarterback get a girl to orgasm at 15? Teen Vogue says yes, but I'd like to see the evidence. Maybe a survey of all the seniors doing juniors of the world, or perhaps just the ones north of the Bible Belt. I think rumors have the same variability as questionnaires, at least the ones that circulate over sinks. I smudged my lip gloss when Alyssa told me. I love Jake the way a toddler eats candy, all thumbs, blushing and sticky. But watching him tongue his gum into Liz's mouth after 3rd period felt dirty. They're a thing now, Alyssa explains, the information dripping from her hands beneath the blow dryer. Maybe they'll do it on his mom's futon this weekend. Maybe he'll find out her clitoris. Maybe he'll go to IHOP after and order strawberry pancakes. Maybe, I agree, but probably not. Jake doesn't have a job, and I bet he has practice. So Liz will have to stay back and clean the futon. What do you think is more romantic, a futon or a bathroom? I'm about to ask Alyssa. But a toilet flushes. Love, I've come to believe, is a pulled-out sofa at the very least.
Thank you so much for that video recording, Anna. Perfect setting, right? Takes place in the bathroom. She's in the bathroom. It was perfect. Not, of course, that does not foreshadow or overshadow how great that piece of flash fiction is. Yeah, great job. I'm so pleased with that.
Our next reader is Heather C. Krueger. So Heather C. Krueger is a deep-hearted queer poet whose work explores farm life of her childhood, navigating divorce, trauma, and embodiment. She's currently enrolled in SFU's The Writers Studio 2023, and she lives on Treaty 7 territory and the Métis Nation Region 3 with her 2 teenagers, and has been published in Sweet Tree Review and the The Quill Keepers Press, among others. You can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Heather C. Krueger. Everyone, let's welcome Heather to the stage.
Thank you so much. I was so thrilled to get Elena's email saying I was getting published in this issue. It was like such a thrill. And it's so fun to see everyone's faces here. So yeah, I'm going to read my poem Flight. That is right next door to Anna's poem that she just read, so that's fun. Flight. In the dead of winter, we trained in the school gymnasium, my fledgling body climbing stairs until my heart returned to my chest. They told me it would make me stronger, better, faster. Surely climbing flights of stairs would prove I was worthy of love. I wonder if you believe this too. Giving your body over to destruction will return love. Perhaps you live with the same ferocity and still, all these years later, wake in the middle of the night with birds in your lungs and a mouthful of feathers. Thank you.
That line, maybe giving your body over to destruction will return love, is like such a heavy hitter of a line. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Heather. Next, we're going to move over to Kim Fahner. Kim Fahner lives and writes in Sudbury, Ontario. Her most recent book of poems is Emptying the Ocean by Frontenac House, published in 2022. And her first novel, The Donahue Girl by Latitude 46 Publishing, is going to be published in spring 2024. That's very exciting. Congratulations, Kim. Kim is the Ontario representative for the Writers' Union of Canada from 2020 to 2024, and a member of the League of Canadian Poets, and a supporting member of the Playwrights Guild of Canada. She can be found at kimfahner.com. So let's welcome Kim to the reading.
Hi, thanks so much for that lovely introduction. I should warn you that I have a wild puppy, so I've been trying to wrangle said puppy occasionally. So you may hear odd noises while this is happening. Thank you so much for taking my poem, Elena. It was lovely to have somebody look at it with keen eyes for editing, and I appreciate that. I, during the pandemic, got hooked on, well, who didn't, I guess, sort of like trying to stay connected through the internet, which was just not healthy, but I got addicted to The Marginalian for its amazing articles, and I somehow stumbled across something that was published somewhere else and then republished, or I don't know. And it was showcasing Nicholas Bruno's photography, and he had done a complete tarot deck called the Somnia Tarot Deck. I don't know if anyone's seen that. Beautiful photography. So I've written a few pieces, and this one's based on his image of the lovers. Pinch a eucalyptus leaf between thumb and finger, rub it, spark scent. Two trees, knowledge and life, serpent and flame, how Eden has fallen and can't get up. That ladder from here to heaven, how it roots to rise when least expected. Exhausted angels scatter confetti from passing cumulus clouds. When you kiss, the essence of fresh eucalyptus will be on your lips, carried there from the touch of your fingertips. He will suddenly long to read Australian poetry, go in search of wild kangaroos that leap through tall grasses at dawn, but he will not know why. So like Magritte, who shares kisses through veils, love climbs the ladder from sleep to waking, nudging both lovers with her elbows as she makes her way between worlds. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate the humor in that poem and just the mix of like tenderness and humor. It's really well done. Thank you so much.
So, hello. Hello, everyone. I would love to introduce our next reader, and that is Kate Hargreaves. Kate Hargreaves, she, her, is the author of the poetry collections Tend from Book Hug 2022 and Leak Book Hug 2014, as well as the children's novel Jammer Star, Orca 2019, and the short prose collection Talking Derby, Black Moss 2013. Find her work at Coruscate, I'm going to spell that for everyone, CORUSKATE.com. Please help us welcome Kate to the virtual stage.
Hello, thank you so much, everyone at Untethered. Thank you, Conyer, for giving this piece a home and, allowing it a little bit of space to grow quite wild. I really appreciate it, and everybody for being here and sharing these pieces today. So I figured the best way to kind of contextualize my piece, which is creative nonfiction, is with a quick bit of poetry. So this is a poem from Chunn called Against Capital Letters, and you'll see essentially how it contextualizes the piece in a second, hopefully. So against capital letters. An L, he repeats. Not an I, but an L forms the letter with thumb and finger for effect. Someone's hand grips my hand, someone's hand with blood drying between fingers. L is the limit, flesh is liminal, firefighters hose away what's left. L is an intersection and a front of angles of compound serifs of bone. So for a little bit of context, my creative nonfiction piece in this issue, this beautiful issue of Untethered, is called Floriography, and I'm just going to read the beginning of it. And it is a lot about trauma and the body and being both inside and outside of your body at the same time due to a severe injury. If this were an account of growth and overcoming, there might be a quiet scene tying the past up with a tidy bow. It would be bundled in tissue, tucked into a cardboard box so the fibers would break down into the soil, feeding the dandelions that would sprout and bloom and seed over top, nurturing the bees and irritating the neighbors. The Victorians didn't bother with the dandelion when they bound meaning to flowers, despite its tenacity, its usefulness. The dent de lion, lion's tooth, knitted together in sing-song Middle English, is edible in both its flowers and greens, nourishing, its roots boiled into tea or its blossoms fermented into dandelion wine. Yet in their ubiquity, they were overlooked, while wild roses took on the burden of both pleasure and pain. Cornflower made mild requests for gentleness, and white roses simply stated, "I cannot." Dandelions, their seeds blown into the wind for wishes, have since grown to symbolize determination against hardship, a relentless overcoming, or perhaps just announce the coming of spring. Distinct from the strength of rhododendron, the defiance of nettles, dandelions have insinuated themselves, as is appropriate of what we call a weed, into the language of flowers. Yellow carnations for disappointment or rejection, evening primrose for inconstancy, yew for sorrow, hundreds of meanings, a message for any occasion, from there's sunshine in your smile, yellow tulip, to your simple elegance charms me, diosma. But despite almanacs and floriography guides, there remains inarticulable gaps in the garden. We're sitting on the couch at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, a sunlit horror flick with the blinds closed against the window's glare. How bad could the scares in the daylight be? Fields of grass, bright embroidery, and crowns of petals. No dark corners for monsters to sneak into, no blessing of shadows obscuring the gore. There's no flower that says, "I can't breathe," that neatly sums up the tightness that rips through your chest, keels you over top your knees, and grips at your throat. There's everlasting for never ceasing memory, but perhaps that comes close, but it doesn't quite capture the heat or the tears. Marigold for grief can't be two places at once, insistently in the body and outside of it. A second self stepping away from the quaking figure on the couch with an eye roll and a shake of the head. Just a movie, a special effect. It was over a year ago. In the guide to floriography, there are only white peonies for shame. Thank you.
Wow, Emma, that was so gorgeous. And just before this started, I was talking about living in bodies in chronic pain. So, I mean, that just right here, and just the language and the way it weaved and ducked and just pulled us along, just beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Sorry, Kate. Next up, we have Emma. Emma Rhodes. Emma is an emerging queer writer currently living on the unceded territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island people. Her debut chapbook, Razorburn, is available from Anstruther Press. You can find her at emmarhodes.net. Please help us welcome Emma to the virtual stage.
Hello. I'm going to read a poem titled Hymn to My Purple Vibrator. It's kind of a fun, sexy, like kind of visual poem. So I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah, so I'll do that right now. Can folks see this? Nice, okay. Hymn to My Purple Vibrator. 1. Slow, steady, buzz, ease into me. 2. Higher, louder, hum, oh, under blankets, roommates don't hear this purple penance. 3. Frantic, roommates hear. 4. Hmm, bite, stuffed elephant, pray, my hymen doesn't break. 5. Lift, off bed sheets. 6. Grind, in the body, bruised, Eve, in a fig leaf. 7. Sweat, kick off blankets, shame, on Eve, for tasting. 8. Yell, shame, on Eve, for apple. Erotic, open, glistening, wet. 9. Oh God, blessed am I. 10. Short, pulse, quick. Adam named the animals, and Eve I named my stuffed elephant God. Purple, royal, power, punish. 11. Shake, legs, spread. 12. Hymn. Amen.
That was quite an adventure. Thank you, Emma. That was amazing. I love the cadence of it. Is so perfectly and deliberately done. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I'm just in love with listening to everybody. It's so fascinating the way that I've read it in my own head, and then to hear everyone's interpretation or the way that they intended. I love it. Okay. Our next reader is Harman Burns. Harman Burns is a trans sound artist and video maker. Her work often draws inspiration from folklore, nature, the occult, and bodily transfiguration. She currently resides on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. Please help me welcome Harman to the virtual stage.
Hi there, my name is Harman Burns, and today I will be reading an excerpt from a novella I'm working on, and this chapter is called Worm. The sun swims between the gaps in the oak leaves, green patterns at the bottom of a lake. The backyard lawn bleeds into the cracks in the cement patio, yellow dandelion fingers poking through the fabric. The boy's sneakers knot and unknot under the chair as he twists the tuning pegs of the guitar, and robins dive the garden and bees thrum for pollen. The upward hum of the string as it tightens, 2 strings beat together, tones clenching against one another. Twist until the tension releases and the frequencies resolve, and robin beaks a worm. Worm swallows into the warm dark of the gizzard and begins to rearrange its body into discrete elements. It simplifies its anatomy in the juices of robin's belly. Worm is wider now, wetter and slow. Robin has flown a long way, into new trees and gardens, swallowed seeds that dissolve into worm, swelling robin's belly. Then it's time, and robin shits in the garden before flying off, leaving worm and seed to the dirt. It's good dirt, although dry in the late summer sun, and worm is now also seed, and seed is also worm, and they are dissolved to reduce to their base elements. After all, they are bird shit. Bird shit decides that since it is wet and the dirt is dry, that it will sink into this dirt to explore. Bird shit finds that it now moves slow, slower even than worm, slower even than seed. This was not so bad. A new world was revealed to bird shit, the world of slow time, a world that had been invisible before. Here in slow time, the dirt and stones move as slow rivers, shot through with lightning strikes of root systems, with beetles and ants. Here the dirt made its own movements, cycling energy and water and minerals up and down, and soon bird shit was drawn into this river, pulled along its ancient current until it did not know where bird shit ended and dirt began. Dirt spread itself wide and far, all the way round and all the way down, and dirt was solid and whole and good. And through dirt and its slow river swim the beetles and ants and the seeds are fed and sprout into the world where the bees thrum the flower petals for pollen, and the dirt was worm eating and shitting dirt, and the dirt was seed and bird and shit, and the boy is standing in the dirt, toes clenching in the dirt, as the tension rises in his body, radiating up from his stomach and chest, and when the tension releases, glittering seeds pat into the soil, and the slow river carries it away. Thanks.
Wow. I feel like I have to sit with that for a minute. That was really, really lovely. Harman, thank you. I love the different characters. Like, I love the way that dirt and bird shit and seed and worm, that these are all characters. I'm really intrigued. I'd love to read more of that. In case anyone is interested, Harman's, the piece that appears in this one, or in volume 14, pardon me, is called Flower. Yes. So again, check that out if you want to read more of Harman's work. Now, let me get my mouse. Okay.
I think it's me now. I also love a good bird shit, and anyway, it's great. Our next reader is Paula Turcotte. So Paula Turcotte loves her dog and your dog and Raisin Bran. I love Raisin Bran too. Raisin Bran is so underrated as a cereal. Gotta say. She was born and raised on Treaty 7 land, home of the Siksika, the Pagani, the Gaina, Sasutina, and the Stoney Nakoda First Nations. Alongside Untethered, you can find her work in Canthias, Pete Smoke, and Arc Poetry Magazine. She is the poetry editor at Mayday. So please help us in welcoming Paula to the virtual stage.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Sonia. I'm not going to read my piece that's in Untethered, but hopefully you all get the chance to check it out. It's called I Am the Lord Your God and Other Commandments. And thanks to Elena for all the help with that one. The piece that I'm going to read actually kind of responds in like a fun way to Emma's piece. And I wrote it. I just finished reading The Next Cowboy by Hannah Green, which is like such a great, like, changing book. And so I am also going to share my screen because the title is written in emojis. So let's see if I can figure out how to do that. No, it doesn't want to work. Okay, well, I'll just tell it to you. The title is a cowboy giving finger gun emojis. And then the epigraph comes from The Next Cowboy, and it says, I'd rather pretend I am going to feel this good forever, swaying like a saloon door in the wild west of my living room. And the poem goes, I think when you die, everything just sort of becomes nothing, which isn't all that poetic, but neither is a gunfight where nobody shoots. I bought a pair of assless chaps thinking I was somebody different, but when I put them on, I was still 79 guinea pigs in a girl suit. I've got an ace in the hole, and it's Emmylou Harris on vinyl, raw as a whip, but clean as a bone, soft to the touch when you take me home. I turn up the volume so I can hear her over my vibrator and think about the cashier at Whole Foods with the horseshoe tattooed on her arm. But then I remembered the time I said howdy partner and gave her finger gun. My orgasm disappears faster than a prairie fire with a tailwind, and I'm left with my buzzing pink rabbit, a pistol full of blanks, and Emmylou, still crooning, Don't worry about me. I got a wild card up my sleeve. The end. Thanks, everybody.
Amazing. I loved that a lot. I never thought I would hear assless chaps and guinea pigs in a poem so close together, and it really just worked so well. That was a treat. Thank you so much. Our next reader is Krissi Stocks. I had the pleasure of working with Krissi on their piece, so I'm delighted to introduce Krissi today. Krissi Stocks lives in Newfoundland with an unreliable herb garden and a husky that hates the snow. She is finishing her MA in creative writing at Memorial University. Her latest writing and poetry are in Humana Obscura, Apricity, Miracle Monocle, and the Roanoke Review. Krissi was a finalist in Cutbank Magazine Fiction Contest and winner of Snap Gallery's 2023 Flash Fiction Contest. Follow her at Christina Ann on Instagram. Please help us in welcoming Krissi to the stage.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I'm in such good company. So today I'll be reading a bit from my nonfiction essay in volume 14, which is titled Tansidum vulgare. We're in the middle of the story from the section I'm going to read in after I've foraged for flowers for my family's farmer's market stall and attended a less than pleasant house party in a Topi suburb. So market tour. It's 7 a.m. the day after the dinner party at Carol's, and I'm waiting for the coffee to course through my veins so I can start being nice to people at the farmer's market. The market doesn't technically open until 8 a.m. Still, morning people always dare to show up early and try to haggle prices on fresh cut flowers while I place the buckets on the tiered display. It's fascinating that growers seem to face this haggling the most. Maybe people perceive the urgency of a product that will eventually die as something that warrants a deal. I'll tell you one thing though, trying to barter with me as I balance flower buckets and slosh water over my pants is absolutely not the time. But I start to feel goodwill surging through me as the coffee kicks in. The display looks fresh and pretty, and the sun's rising. Golden light vibrates on the dusty windows out front. The tzatziki guy from the stall behind us comes up and taps my shoulder. I'll trade you 2 hummuses for that beautiful bouquet over there, yeah? Tzatziki is pointing to one of my largest bouquets. He's got me. He knows I love his hummus. Make it 3 of your garlic hummuses and that one. I point to a smaller bouquet. And then you've got a deal. Tzatziki grins. You drive a hard bargain, but yes, good. I put his flowers in a mason jar so he can display them at his booth. None of us knows each other's names here at the market. We're the flower family. He's the tzatziki guy. They're the apple vendors behind us. So it goes. Vendors don't usually swap products this early. That's an end of day task. But I know tzatziki will spend all day shouting to people to sample his product and guiding folks to our stall. Look at the beautiful flowers. They're right over there. They're right over there. A couple hours pass by. Market days are long and the aisles are elbow to elbow packed today. I get excited, thinking I might sell out by 4. An officious looking man with a suit jacket and elbow patches stops at the stall, and I smile at him. Hi, bouquets here are $20 and the bunches over there are $15. Are you looking for anything in particular today? I spend all day trying to gauge which salesy voice I should use. This person has a grumpy look to them, so I am weighing it on a little thick. The man examines my bouquets and then leans close to me over the booth. He's a confusing looking sort of person who borders between geriatric and ageless. The thin skin of a 90-year-old and the hairline of a newborn. From my position, I can smell his Pond's skin lotion and count the liver spots on his cheeks as he steps closer, peach fuzz lit by the light coming in from the windows. Is this Jacobia vulgaris? He has a lollipop in one hand and is twirling it like a cigarette in a movie from the 1930s, but without the charisma or irony. With his stance and shabby suit jacket, I can tell almost immediately that this person takes themselves too seriously. One of those rare people who sees the value in forms and due process. Pardon me, I ask. The man sighs dramatically as though he spent hours suffering fools and couldn't bear a moment more. He grips the yellow ball-shaped flowers in the bouquet in front of him. Is this Jacobia vulgaris? Tansy, is it tansy? Oh, yes, it is. His face goes from relatively benign and judgmental to abject fury, like he's a puddle of gasoline and my agreement the match. Tansy is a noxious weed. No, I don't think so. I know this is the wrong answer as soon as it comes out. The man ruffles his long coat and spins away before I have the chance to say anything else. I don't remember if he had a clipboard, but he had clipboard energy. I'm nervous about what's to come. Agro businesses can get a hefty fine for using plants on the noxious weed list, but I am sure these yellow button flowers aren't on that record. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really took a lot of pleasure in your essay, and yes, the clipboard energy was a big hit. And yeah, there's a lot of flowers theming throughout our issue, and this one just really added to that.
I agree. It was really nice when we were kind of going through these pieces and finalizing. There was a lot of this kind of, the florography, the flowers, nature. So it was really nice. And I mean, from an editorial point of view, I suppose, that these pieces work so well together and speak back and forth. That was really nice. Okay, our next reader is Lucy Zhang. Lucy writes, codes, and watches anime. Her work has appeared in Salt Hill, the Worcester Review, The Pinch, the Baltimore Review, and elsewhere. She is the author of the chapbooks Hollowed from 30 West Publishing and Absorption from Harbor Review. You can find her at lucyzhang.tech or on Twitter at dango_ramen. Please help me welcome Lucy.
Decomposition. I am chopping cabbage and peeling onions when Laogong calls me up to the office where his computer hums and blows a current of heat the ceiling fans bat away, spinning like they'll force the ceiling down. He pulls the beanie chair close to his desk, and we wait for Popua to give the okay to WeChat. His 4K camera is already hooked up as the video output. His microphone hovers by my head, close enough I might whack my forehead if I stand abruptly. Are you doing well? Popua asks. Yeah, we'll be cooking dinner soon, even though I've already started cooking. We're doing well, no need to worry about us, Popua continues. That's good, we say. I'm heading up to Shenyang tomorrow to check up on your Laoye. His lung cancer seems to be back, all over his body now. The doctors say he maybe has half to 1 year left. Through the monitor, we watch her face turn pink, her eyes water, her hands constantly rubbing at her face. That's all. You go make dinner. Eat something good. Laogong clicks to hang up. I return to tossing vegetables and tofu into the pressure cooker, careful not to slice my finger as I drive a carrot across the mandolin. 2. I am pouring a teaspoon of oil into the Instant Pot so I can saute the diced onions when Laogong tells me Popua wants to chat. With both of us, or just you? I ask, eyeing the heating oil and the beginnings of smoke. I dump in the onions and crack in several limbs of a star anise pod. I'll be up in a few, I say, before Laogong can reply. I already know Popua likes to see me as a reminder that even though she ended up with the burden of being breadwinner of the family, my square-jawed father-in-law, a retired construction worker who prefers to watch reality TV while snacking on fried scallion pancakes. At least Laogong and I both carry home hefty paychecks for poking at a keyboard and recompiling code all day. As I finish dumping in chili and white pepper and stirring with my bamboo spoon, Lao Gong texts me that Lao Ye is dying and Popo is headed to Shenyang to watch over Lao Lao and Lao Ye. Do I still need to join the video call, I wonder? It's over, Lao Gong replies. I'm starting to see the pattern of men dying first, he continues. It was probably all the smoking, I reassure him, even though he makes a statistically correct observation. 3. Lao Gong says Popo wants to call in an hour, so I've already prepared the ingredients for dinner and set the timer on the Instant Pot. I join Lao Gong in his office upstairs, several degrees warmer than the rest of the house. I pull open the window and can hear voices singing happy birthday from the house across the street. Our neighbors are all white people. They celebrate everything. Their kids play everywhere. We've seen them try to prank us with Ding Dong Ditch, even though we've got a Nest doorbell installed. Lao Ye's lung cancer relapsed, and it's everywhere in his body now, Popa tells us. We tell her to take care of herself and wish her the best for upcoming doctor appointments. Lao Ye wants to eat youtiao and tofu now, so on the way to Shenyang, Popa plans to stop by the street stands to buy the dough freshly fried and tofu freshly cooked. We probably won't be able to make your wedding. We will need to stay in China to watch over Lao Ye. I can tell Lao Gong's relieved Popa isn't coming to America. He'd lose it if they lived with us for over 1 month. Plus, our visa applications haven't come back yet. You should live well, enjoy your wedding, don't wait on us, she says. This like she'll never see us again, even though none of us are close to dying. Death only brushes past us like falling leaves, stroking our faces and disappearing into the earth over time.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That story is really, really beautiful, and it really hits all of my heartstrings. I love this really heavy moment intermingling or oscillating between those common, we're just making dinner and frying onions, and I can smell it all, but this really heavy thing weighing on the dinner. So really, I really, really appreciate that we've got this story to share with everyone.
I am really excited to introduce our next reader, Katie Kemple. Katie Kemple, she, her, is a poet based in California. Her work has been published recently by Art Poetry, Chestnut Review, and Rattle. Please help us welcome Katie to the virtual stage.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for publishing this piece. And Elena, thank you so much for the editing. It's so rare as a poet to have an editor that you can work with this way, and I just really appreciate it. Okay, we survive. Our daughters look back and call these the hot ages, because humanity hadn't yet figured out how to create global atmosphere. And people got sunburned, and Paris Hilton said, "That's hot." The future is a big blue paradise with swirls of green. Everything that once was stone, biodegradable, fungible, so that we replace and interface our homes with our food, with our clothes, with our limbs, with our loves, with our dogs, and do it all over again, Lego style. But the hot ages, well, those were bright and dry times. We wonder how anyone had anyone who somehow survived. Those daughters dance and nap in the cerulean marble. They marvel at vines and ants and apples and apes and ponies and mint.
I'm just in love with the scope of that poem, which feels like it spirals from like this massive scope to this tiny little apple and piece of Lego. It's just so beautiful and powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Katie.
All right, our next and I think final reader. Oh my gosh, we've just blown through these. Okay. Yes, so our next and of course not least reader is Višnja Milidragović. I hope that I said that right. Višnja is a wanderer at heart, even when her body is in stillness. Born in Yugoslavia, which is current-day Bosnia and Herzegovina, she now finds home on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Her work investigates belonging, both visceral and spiritual, through the prism of place, name, and identity. Her creative nonfiction was shortlisted in 2023 for the Malahat Review Contest and in 2021 for the CNFC, the Humber Literary Review Contest. She is currently working to complete her first book-length memoir with support from the Canada Council for the Arts. She completed SFU's The Writer's Studio in 2020 and has an MA in Publishing and a BA in English Lit. Please help me welcome Višnja.
Hi, everyone. My name is Višnja, and I am recording this from my apartment in Vancouver, which is on the stolen and traditional lands of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I want to acknowledge that I am a part of the first generation in my family that has been raised on these lands. And I feel very lucky to be here and to be able to be pursuing a creative life. I came here in 1994 with my family, with my parents, after we fled the civil war in the former Yugoslavia. And since then, I've had a lot of time to reflect on that experience, and a lot of my creative life and work has been investigating that experience. And I feel very lucky to live in a place where that is valued and where my stories are being read now. And yeah, so I really want to thank everyone for being here for this launch and for continuing to support the arts and diverse voices. I also want to say that this is the first piece I've actually had published in a literary mag. So this is very exciting. I want to thank my editor, Conyer, and everyone at Untethered for making that possible. It's really exciting to see my name in print. So yeah, today I will read an excerpt from the piece entitled When It Fits. Oh, you must be. It looks smashing on you. Kara peeks at me through a crack in the curtain of the haphazardly made dressing room at the back of what is a brilliant vintage boutique on Main that she suggested we browse after work. If you ask me, this is just a secondhand shop that smells like old carpet. Kara is graceful, tall and svelte, all bones but no edges. Her hair is jet black and cut choppy straight at her chin. Her lips are perpetually glossy. She is perpetually glossy, like she's printed on the cover of a fashion magazine. And if you look closely, you'll see sprinkles of light brown freckles that hint at her Irish heritage. Kara once told me she was actually a natural redhead, that she colors her hair religiously every 5 weeks. I was floored. It was as if she'd revealed to me that she'd murdered her evil twin back in Dublin. But she did make me appreciate my own dark brown hair, which she called virgin. Never been corrupted by hair dyes like mine, she said. I could hear a palpable yearning in her voice, and it made me feel more youthful, but also juvenile. I had unintentionally managed to hold on to something rare, even though my actual aim had always been to simply avoid effort for as long as I could. I think of Mom's face today, framed by tufts of thinning hair in a shade not quite suited to her complexion. This month, it's auburn brown like mine. A shiver runs through me when I envision how old she would look if she stopped coloring it. Maybe I could freeze myself in time, make vintage look contemporary if I try a little harder. I could wear statement pieces like big clanky accessories and 5-inch pumps on a Tuesday. Maybe somehow, but I can't be bothered. Kara flashes her emerald green eyes in the direction of which I am to move, her fringe sweeping across her thick-lined brows in perfect choreography. Turn, girl, turn, they beckon me from her eggshell canvas face. I wonder how much concealer she's wearing. I turn once around to meet her circling gaze, letting the dress swoop around me. Her eyes follow my movement, from bottom to top. I try to look cute and slip my leg out of the slit from the dress, pointing my toe as I do it, but the athletic white sock I'm wearing just gives me away. This is just a costume. This isn't me. Kara rewards me with a smile of approval, her trident white teeth framed by red lipstick mouth, saying it's perfect. I look in the mirror to evaluate. Mom wore fine clothes like this once before we moved to Canada. She owned so many designer clothes, heavy skirts with pleats that widened her hips and high waistlines that narrowed the rest of her. All tricks of the eye, though, to make women look like we can carry the weight of the world atop impossible proportions. Because what we naturally are is never enough. It's quite big on me, I say to Kara in a faint voice. My petite frame is too small to fill out the dress, and my imagination is too dull to make believe. The most I can fathom as I look at my reflection is the silhouette of a large purple teapot leaning to be poured out. No, even better. I look like the Kool-Aid man, grape flavor. I chuckle to myself because I know it's not entirely true, though I feel sad because some part of me still believes it. I'm a child playing dress up, not a woman who feels beautiful and sure of herself. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Višnja. I really love that story, and it was a perfect final piece for the issue, where we consider, maybe we should just be laughing, or are we taking everything so seriously? And so it's perfect. Again, I can't plug this enough. I really hope that you'll grab a copy. There's so much good work in here, and so much effort goes into writing the pieces, so much talent, and work to get it to you. So I really hope that you will grab a copy. That's it for the readings. I can't believe how quick that went. But before you zoom out, I guess, just my last outros. Can we get everybody on screen if they want to, for a final? Now, how do I do that? Unpin myself? Oh, Elena. There, does that work? And just a final clap. I just would love to give a final clap, snap, emoji put up. I'm so proud of everybody. And thank you to all of our audience members for coming out tonight. Thank you so much. So thank you to our editors. I can't say enough about Holly and Conyer. They're just fantastic team members. Thank you to, of course, all of our volunteers, our readers, our copy editors, our proofreaders, who add your energy and expertise, and we add our little slice to Canlit. So thank you so much. Thank you to Andrea Wan for giving us permission to use the gorgeous artwork on our cover for this issue. Thank you to Stephanie again. Steph's not with us, but Steph does a lot behind the scenes, and I really do appreciate everything that Steph does. Finally, I think I'm going through my list. And thank you to our donors. If you haven't got your raffle tickets, please go grab a couple. I can put, if it helps, I can put it in the chat someplace here. I'll do that in a second, but yeah, if you can, if you have any spare change, please grab some raffle tickets. Again, we have some really great prizes that I want to give away, all of them. So, and again, everything goes back into Untethered, and we really need it. Like all of the other small magazines out there, we need every penny, or nickel or dime. Pennies don't exist, right? We're currently working on issue 15. So if you're not following us already, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, subscribe to the website so you can stay up to date on things. We'll be launching that probably in January. I'm thinking maybe we're thinking possibly in person for the first time in a while. So keep your eyes out for that. Okay, I think I've rambled on enough.
I'm going to interrupt you, Elena, and just say everyone cheer for Elena, though, because Elena's amazing and does all the things. Yeah, Elena.
Well, thank you, Conyer. I'm surprised my head is fitting in the screen. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very sweet. Okay, hold on. Should be put. See, Steph does the background stuff. So I'm not usually so fumbly and, seemingly distracted. There, in case that helps. I hope you'll pick up some tickets, buy a copy of the issue, and yeah, I really hope we'll see you again in about 6 months. Thank you so much. I hope you had fun. Bye, everybody. Thank you.